Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another It Came From the Workbench installment. I believe this is It Came From the Workbench Volume 40. This is an episode of a number that I don't know. It might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 4. I don't remember. They all blur together like smog hitting fog. Smoke hitting fog. They all blur together. This is the Canyon Change episode. What's the Canyon Change, you say? It is nacho rules. If you make a whole bunch of changes, but you do it all at once, it's like a nacho. If it's all stuck together, it's just one nacho. If you make a whole bunch of changes all at once, it's just one change. It's a Canyon Change. So the gentleman who received the Canyon Change most recently is this one right here. This is the in-house mullet, the Vanquish mullet, built with Vanquish parts, and mostly Vanquish parts. It's a VRD, but it's not because it doesn't have the underdrive. The underdrive is not derived the same way that a VRD does it. It does run a stance. It's got a VFD gearbox. It's got an F10 straight front and an F10 portal rear. That's the mullet designation. So what did we change in betwixt when you saw it last? It got it going through. Link lengths were checked. We did all that stuff. We went through the shocks. Shocks seemed genuinely fine since last we did it. So most importantly was it happened to be in stock at the moment. So ordered a stubby kit, because this guy is indeed running a Rhino S12, little tiny boy in there. Look how much room there is behind an S12. That could be like 12 millimeters shorter. But then you're really not FMMing. I have definitely said that the stubby kit is something of questionable ultimate value. Because, in general, when I'm running a VFD like this, I try to run a Fusion, either an SE or a Pro, because it gets that big chunk of weight forward and down. This moves the weight, and the chunk of weight is much smaller, but it moves the chunk of weight kind of up and back because of the slope. It's going up and back at the same time. It does allow us to run the servo behind the axle, and while not as clean as the orientation that Axel uses on the 10 Pro, I think it's pretty good. And you can see there, the clearance, it gets away with running a full height. You don't necessarily have to automatically opt for a low profile. It's not terrible. The installation of the stubby kit is exactly what one wouldn't imagine it to be. You get to fully disassemble the gearbox because there's the pin that holds the top gear, and to get to that you have to take the back of the gearbox off, which means you have to take the bearing plates out, which means you have to take the 3 middle screws out. You have to take the whole thing apart and start over again. So my advice to the sane is, much like when you buy a Vanquish kit, like especially if you're getting some NOS where the Phoenix kits were coming with the hardened gear set or the lightened gear set or whatever gear set they were coming with, I had always told people, install that during the build because you're not going to want to do it after. And yeah, it's building it all over again. I didn't mind because this is, of the Canyon fleet, not of vehicles being built for others or visitors, etc., this is the only VFD gearbox that I have in the fleet fitted with an Outrunner. They're all running Fusions. So we were like, if we're going to go against the grain and we're going to break the molds, as it were, this is the guy to do it. The mullet is definitely the guy to run a stubby on, I figure. It really opens up the front end, because now with the way the servo mounts, look how high, look at that. I mean, we've got travel. We've got travel. And it is untested, largely. So stubby kit is one thing. It's going to change some stuff. The other thing is, you might notice these are 1.9 ruptures. And you might notice, relative to what your memory of a rupture might be, that is a very square profile. That is an extremely square profile.
A lot of people don't favor the J-Concepts Rupture because it has a very rounded profile. And I have long thought that both a strength and a weakness, they cut both ways, is that rounded profile shape of the Rupture. The 3D printed insert that is fitted inside these basically counteracts that rounded profile, really squares them off and drops them down a little bit. So, you know how we have all long said, oh, give us a Class 2 Rupture? I'm looking for a 475 on the rack. There's a hold. There we go. That's a 475. A lot of 465s up there. So this insert basically turns a Rupture into a Class 2. Like, look at how similar. Look at the profiles. And the height is, it might be 2 millimeters taller. So it really pulls it down and stretches it out. The power of inserts! Now, if memory serves, and mind you, I've pointed it out before, I get a lot of Discord messages, I get a lot of Instagram messages, it all blurs together like a haze. And tires come in, rims come. I had a set of rims show up yesterday. No idea where they came from. Absolutely no idea. So I want to say that this gentleman gave me loose instructions of don't explicitly do them as a quick view. Don't, because he's not either geared up to sell them or he's not looking to sell them. So this might just be an advantageous thing that I have here. I live a life of privilege. I'm not going to deny it. So this is what they look like. Is that, I mean, come on. Is that not something else? Is that not something else? This is the firm version. These are the softs. And I put softs all the way around because this guy is not remarkably heavy. And his unsprung ratio is high. He's got brass rings in the front wheels. He's got the big KYX knuckle weights on the F10 front. His weight, I want to say he's sitting 6238. So he's a lot of weight forward, all the weight down. The only current considered change beyond what's already happened is perhaps converting him to start running little 3S 850s in the future down from the 2200s. That would be the only consideration. There is a 3D printed battery tray, which goes right here. I don't know if it will fit with his body mount, with his current body mount, but if I can run the battery right there, I will definitely consider it. We will see. We will see. You might have recalled, if you'd seen a prior episode, he had a gold servo horn. When I flipped this mount over, I was straightening the steering on the bench, getting it centered, because we've got a little tiny ancient, I wanted to use a longhorn, don't have one. So I had the little gold horn on here. I was right about here, just right about like that. Follow along if you will. And I went like this, and I was like, yeah, that looks like it's a full lock right there. Got to about right there, and the wheels just went whip straight. And I was like, what? You know those two little screws that clamp aluminum horns? Yeah, I didn't tighten those down. So the wheel got bound, and then the servo just went and just smoothed it out on the inside. So that's a steel horn. That's what he's going to be running for now. The clearance looks fine. It doesn't look like anything's going to hit anything else. We've got plenty of steer angle. I don't know what happened explicitly, but we definitely did something to quiet it down. As I've pointed out in the past, the slipper eliminator, the direct mount from Vanquish, is not the most concentric thing in the world. So sometimes it is an IT guy issue where you turn it off and turn it back on again, and it fixes it, because that's not making any noise at all. All you can hear is the concrete saw outside of a guy cutting through a driveway. I mean, oh, that motor. That is a Rhino S12 in there. Nothing has changed in the way of electronics. Flash Hobby 68 kg. The same 2200 that he had done previous runs on. No electronics mountings changes made at all.
Links are sitting the way I want them to. No changes in geometry in terms of where the links are mounted. No changes in underdrive, overdrive, any of that. We put in a stubby. We put in inserts. And I think I'm most excited about the inserts because I can say I don't believe I've ever seen a rupture in that profile, that squared off like that. And I'm kind of about it. That gentleman, who shall for the moment remain nameless, has succeeded in making a Class 2 rupture. What I did not measure when I mounted them is, and they're not, it swells them out to 50. So 2 millimeters wider than just a normal Class 2. So this is potentially drive unseen. We don't know yet. This is potentially all good things. This could be a net sum good. We're just going to hit some spots. We're going to hit some spots. I'm out late and it's already, the little speedometer that goes around the temperature on my watch is already red. The high today is going to be around 107 degrees. And that kind of heat has to start early. So, we start early as well. Let's get to it. Let's see what this guy looks like. A Canyon change, whatever episode of It Came from the Workbench 40 this might be. And I am cautiously optimistic. It feels really smooth. And that the servo mounted this way, I know it shouldn't make a difference. It shouldn't make a difference, but it feels like it makes a difference. But it feels like it makes a difference on my desk mat, which is, I don't know, probably not indicative of anything. So, as per usual, we'll allow the rocks to tell us the whole story. So this guy feels notably different on the drive back. The steering is super snappy. I have to assume that's the very short drag link. It feels super, super responsive. He feels ultra planted. We just don't want to see fall. Well, okay, not a lot of fallback. I don't know what to anticipate, honestly. Ooh, there's some spider webs. Okay, we're clearing webs. We're clearing webs first thing this morning. Let's see if we can. Yeah, we shot that off. It's nice. Yeah, he feels real, like. What is nimble and planted at the same time? Like right in here, we're not getting, honestly, I think we might be getting over compliance in the rear. We're getting a bag operation where the rear's kind of bagging out too much, so we're losing a little bit of traction. This could be another one of those instances where the firmer ones in the rear, softer ones in the front, because the front feels pretty great. Like right through there. And then, like, I don't know, if they're not heavily loaded, we can't go off of, like, 75 seconds of wheel time. F10. Nice turn and circle. Nice. There's somewhere out there, aside from the cost of putting it together and or obtaining the pieces, there's a drawback to the mullet out there somewhere. I'm still looking for it, like, because I'm not talking about the drawbacks of the stuff where you've got to change this gear and that gear, or you're slaved to a particular gearbox, or you've got to do some sort of nonsense like build a gender changer for the back because I desperately did not want to flip the rear third member over, because then what's the point of running a mullet at all? Why are you gonna have a portal rear if you have to flip the third member over? So yeah, you've got some hoops to jump through to get it to do what you want, but like in terms of descending, good grief. As long as the suspension doesn't allow the rear axle to unload, and because if you do it the foolish way that I did, and you have to change effectively all of the gears, you can. He's got an 824 in the rear, and then I think he's running, I can't remember if it's an 833 or an 830 in the front. He might just be on a standard gear. But I had to change all these gears around to try to get it around an underdrive percentage that I wanted. I didn't want like 60% underdrive. I wanted around 20. Because I think the sweet spot is indeed in that 20 to 25% range. 12% is where underdrive overdrive at least becomes noticeable. I don't know if it becomes supremely effective, but at least becomes noticeable. And above 25%, genuinely, honestly, it often becomes a problem. Because then you're getting into a situation of, well, now we have an amount of torque split that is usable and or serviceable in a select set of circumstances. I want something that works all the time. The more underdrive you have, the tighter your turning circle is going to be. But the harder it's going to be to do stuff like get a tire to pull over this right here. Because the rear end is moving slower than the front. So we get a little move around it, and then we just let it go. No steer. I want to see what the drift looks like. That is underdrive all the way, kind of pulling us to the side, but I should have just done this in cruise control. And then the portal rear will just pull us right over. I haven't touched the steering wheel since we got to the little bean over there. It's cheat codes. I mean, it's ruptures, so that's cheat codes on the one hand. And then you put these inserts in them, and we're a few minutes in. If there's a drawback to the mullet, I don't know what it is. If there's a drawback to these inserts, I don't know what it is. For better or worse, I think I'm in the 5%. I'm in that end of the tune area where now it's the minutia. It's the little stuff. Ooh, I wish I had a better angle on that driver rear tire. Just the tiniest, okay. Let me tell you things that I like. One of the things that I like more than any other thing is nose end was not wanting to push back over to the right so I could get a little grab and pull it over. The just absolute tiniest application of throttle, and I could feel the whole rig pivot in the middle. I could just feel it pivot over. That's what I like. Do what I ask. See, we get a little shutter right there. Cut back this way, right there. Ooh, he'll still lift a leg, and then that portal, you're never dragging through. Then, of course, descending is ultra hyper stable. Here's what the mullet will give you, and this is gleaned from driving different answers to the same question in relatively close proximity. And what I mean by that is you've got the question of how do we do this best? And we have answers that I have driven recently. We have wheeled about 10 Pro, VRD, and this gentleman who is quite literally in between the two. The 10 Pro is overly stable. It is hyper stable. The VRD drives like it's a little bit, it's got a little, hey man, what's going on? What's going on? It's got some little bit of twitchiness. It's got a little bit of twitchiness to it. It is heavy and drives light, relatively speaking. And the 10 Pro is light and drives heavy, ultra stable. The mullet is Goldilockin'. It is right in between the two. Descending stability is outrageous. Because the way the weight transfers with a straight axle, that portal is going to dump weight onto that front axle. So if we were to look at this straight up on a calculator, the CG on this with rear raised would probably look not great because of the way it's going to move that weight. Though I don't know. There is a good bit of weight on the front axle. All I know is that if it doesn't state it on the paper, it definitely states it on the rocks. Like, ooh, flying things. Yeah, my goal here was to keep it right hand through there. I didn't want to scrub up against that big yellowish rock, and didn't. Right in between the wheelbase, a little bit of, it is, I'm talking, when I talk about throttle percentage, I'm talking about, there's a screen on here where
I don't know what is going on with the trims on this radio. But you see channel 2 right there says 0, and when I pull the trigger we get the, all right. I'm talking about like when we're in this middle band right here, we're at about 30, right? So let me get back around. Let me get back around. When we get here, and I got to that spot right here where I couldn't get it to shuttle over, I go from 28 to like 33, like 5% more throttle, and it goes right through. And to how many people did that little stick over there sound like spur teeth or something flying off? I've made that noise before, and I often wonder how detrimental is that noise in the long term. He seems fine. He's still quiet. We're going to continue as if nothing happened. See how many approaches I can hit without moving. Just want to sit in one spot in the last little bit of shade. I'm telling you, fatted out Rupture. Rupture force converted to class 2 is dummy. Okay, is it gonna lift? VRD has a tendency right here to pull front end high. This guy's a leg lifter when he gets loaded up in a very particular way like that. But we can stay in it and push the nose back down. This is that 5% stuff. I had it. I never feel like it's gonna flop. The camera's relaxing. There we go. Let's try to stay in frame a little bit. How hard can I go? Like, we're in 2-wheel drive in that the fronts are completely up. I can't quite see it. I think you'll see the rear go bup, 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 and he may indeed benefit from a little bit. I've got a firmer set. Let's come across here. I think the fronts are perfect. Nice. And then, if history is any indicator, we will go against logic. Future performance is not an indicator. Past performance is not an indicator of future events, but we can hope against hope, right? Nicely through there. Little drop down. The gnats are going into my ear holes. It's lovely. And right here, this would be a problem for some, but we have a mullet, so we go straight through. It honestly, a lot of the time, it doesn't even feel like descending. That got really high in the rear end there. Never felt like it. Never felt like it. So this guy's stability comes in. He gets a little loose. Tends to lift that. Let's see through here. He'll lift that front sometimes. Yeah, just up the wood. Why not? He'll lift that front sometimes. There it is. A little lift there. But on descent, stuck. I want to go further left here. Go around this because the mullet will pull that point. Easy mode. All right. Descent through here. Ooh, I watched that rear end pop up there. This is not the way you descend this. My finger not good enough. I should have used cruise control to descend that. All right, let's see if I can indeed use cruise control to descend that. So this is 16% throttle auto modulated. So, well, you may not know. Multitasking is not a thing. Human beings task switch. We can only do one thing at one time. So if you have cruise control set up, it gives you an ability to do a thing where we can compartmentalize the brain trying to make digits do things cooperatively.
So we let the radio take control of the throttle, and we just do the steering part, and I still couldn't get it right. And in the defense of myself and the vehicle together, a camera is very good at relating 2 of 3 dimensions at any given time. The third dimension is taken away from us. And depth is basically what we're losing here, because let me see, what's our zoom at? So that's where we actually are. So I'm over here. So that section right here, right in there, see that little shadow right there? That's just straight vertical. And I can't keep the front end close enough to it to not flop through. But on this side, I think he would probably be capable of just making the descent on his own. Okay. Again, I'm just doing the steering now. Well, doing the steering only. This is how I'm doing the steering. Doing the steering only helps because with the other hand, I can wave at all the gnats that are trying to get into all the holes of my face. I mean, look at that. That rear lifted. It's just nice. It's nice. And I don't even consider the mullet to be a compromise. It's taking the best of both worlds. You get the departure clearance. We don't tend to need that much clearance getting on, and we have the advantage bonused on of with that front lower. It's less likely to lift in situations like this, but then we can pull the rear end through. I'm again sitting in a terrible spot for this. I can barely see. I hope camera 2's got a better angle than I do. Okay, I saw it settle in. There's a little mid spot. Okay, all right. Let's try to mullet it, and we'll try to pull the rear end up over that point if we can get the slider past it. Right there, right there. You got it, you got it. Nope, that's on the slider. Oh, sliders. Okay. At a certain point there, I realized the rear wheels were just hanging out in open space. The best way to attack that end line run there would be to get up and move, and I don't want to. So we're gonna come across here. It's a big flat there, and I wanna get up over this flat. Yeah. We mulleting. We be doing the mullet things. Okay, can we break over that? Can I? Oh, that's not where you want to be. See this maneuver right here? This maneuver is called how to break an axle housing. So maybe we should stop. We already made some rather violent popping noises. So I'm gonna try it this way. I'm gonna try a top hook if I can. Okay, get up there. I want to hook over right there. Okay, swing it around, get it over. Yeah, there it is. This is almost first drive stuff. He's been out, but he hasn't been out like this. He's feeling pretty nimble, man. Until you turn head down. And then he's just velcroed onto the rocks. I actually hooked that rock with the tie rod, I think. That could have been great. All right, he couldn't quite poke the nose over. This is the stuff, so like right here, this spot is where I want to clear that. Some rigs can and some rigs can't. If I get over that right there. Okay, that's a reset. That was done by design. Okay, now we'll try it in the middle. The like what I would call the bypass is if you keep the tires to the right of that groove. If you look straight up above his passenger rear, there's that little groove. And if you get the tires to the right of the groove, that's kind of the bypass because it gets really, really steep right in here. Is that a mosquito or a gnat? Mosquito or a gnat? Hold on. Give me a moment. So I don't know what it is about this time of morning. I don't know if they're sleep deprived or blood deprived or what, but it's really easy to kill those mosquitoes. If you can see them landing, you can kill them. The gnats, on the other hand, are unstoppable. So I'm going to try this middle. Keep that front down. Keep it down. Keep it down. If I can get that driver front, I can try to use some of our squared off side lug right there. At this point, I feel like it's definitely worth trying the firmer inserts in the rear. Because that little jugga. Catch of the day, maybe. There are definitely little moments where I'm like, okay, so, just can't break over. But man, he will stay in the fight. He does not give up. And honestly, it doesn't feel explicitly like over collapse. It just feels like I can't quite clear it. I don't know if that's geo. I don't know if that's because we can't. Maybe it's dialing it in. Maybe I need to set the. We kind of just let that happen. I was smacking gnats off my neck at the moment. Yeah, his breakover onto obstacles is mad. His breakover, the way the nose cooperates or does not cooperate when you get into the steep, when you're braking over on steep stuff, like that little, so right here, rear tire, whoop, driver rear. That is straight vertical. About 6 inches, just straight over, absolutely no problem. Because I think he's going from flat to flat. And this is a vehicle that, among others, among his brethren, why would we not just go in making every conceivable effort in tuning to just make it do stupid stuff? Like he's already, if you're building a mullet, you're kind of building it for a reason. Like this breach on is stupid. And then the ability to pull the rear through. It's not getting caught. We have a definitive click now. A very rhythmic click. Let's hope it's drive shafts or spur gear. Let's swing around this. This guy is genuinely fun to drive. And he's not like, oh my God, now every obstacle has been rendered obsolete due to, somebody's getting a roof. Every obstacle has been rendered obsolete by his godlike abilities. He's not there. He's very good. And this is the rupture. This insert is the absolute jam. This is my favorite rupture. And I was sent a set of softs and a set of firms. And I am sitting here now, as we have more than one vehicle fitted with ruptures, just absolutely hoping. Oh, I hope and I pray that this guy needs firms in the rear, because then I'll have two sets. I'll have a set of soft firms and a set of soft firms, and then Diablo's getting the other set. 100%, unquestionably, because so good. Does it surprise me or anyone involved or not involved? Does it surprise anyone not involved that a purpose-built 3D printed insert is better than fridge foam taped to a closed cell inner?
It doesn't surprise me. As I say, the strength of the Canyon Custom is versatility. The strength of the Canyon change is we do what we want. We don't make one change at a time. We make a Canyon change at a time, even if that's 4 or 5 changes. What was the change here that made the biggest benefit? I don't know. I can't know. That's the beauty of it. It can never be known because the inserts are working great. Was there any positive effect of the stubby kit at all? Well, the steering feels outrageous. Like it's like quickening your servo. And this is not a slow servo. But it's quickening your servo artificially. It's not as if the motor is like an 006 motor, because there is definitely a point of diminishing returns when it comes to servo speed. You can get too fast. This servo on the BTA is chef's kiss. It's perfect. There is not a lot that I want to change on this. I would like to see him with a little bit less sprung weight. And I have very little in the way of things that I can remove in sprung weight. Other than like the battery. I can go down to half the size of battery, which is not a small amount of weight. I'm happy with the body. I don't like this. The stance is not one of my favorites, but I think it suits him. He's so stable. He's so stable. It does not happen often. Well, it happens often enough, but it doesn't happen all the time that a Canyon change is a net sum good. We have a net sum good here. Nothing that has been done shall be undone. We will only make efforts to do more. Always do more. More is more. Less is not more. More is more. I would like to thank you a little bit more. We'll start off by thanking you so much more for joining us here today. We look forward to seeing you in the comments. We look forward to seeing you next time. In between now and then, we hope that you one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time here from the Canyon. This is one of those days. Today's a good day. Gnats aside, today's a good day because I get to take his battery out and put him up in his bay and not worry about it. I don't have to say, oh, we got to take that off, we got to do that, and we got to do that. Sometimes days are better than others. I hope you're having a good day. I look forward to seeing you on another day. And with that, we're going to do this. We'll go like this. We're going to see you later, everybody.